Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is that time again. It is time for a new episode of Reliving the Lights, a Friday Night Lights rewatch podcast. My name is Josh Kuipers.
My name is Anthony Hookman.
And we're going to talk Friday Night Lights as we always do, as we love to do. Anthony, don't know what we're going to talk about here in this little opening thing. We've been getting a little long-winded in our openings anyway, so maybe that's okay.
That's true.
Roosevelt Rough Riders on your t-shirt. What's up with that?
So my cousins who grew up here in Sioux Falls, they went to Roosevelt. My cousin Kathleen Haruska, the great Kathleen Haruska, was a standout volleyball player.
Yep.
There. I supported the Roosevelt Rough Riders from a distance for a number of years, and I found this shirt at a thrift shop. It's probably Kathleen estimated that it was probably from the mid '90s, and so it's kind of one that gets thrown into my my vesture every now and then.
I like it. I substitute taught in Sioux Falls for a couple years, so spent some time in Roosevelt myself.
Oh yeah.
Did some subbing for the choir teacher there. And It was bizarre because they literally had like a Glee club, and it was literally like the show Glee, which is an god awful show, super annoying. But like,
we won't be doing a Glee podcast.
We will not. But it felt like I was living Glee, and I was that like lame vanilla white dude is. But anyway, that leads me. So that made me think of an opening question. We got something.
Yeah.
Here.
All right.
We got something. Roosevelt Rough Riders, obviously named for Teddy Roosevelt, right? The Rough Riders. Mm-hmm. What do you think is the most obscure president that gets schools named after him? So you've obviously got your Roosevelts and you've got your Washingtons and stuff like that. What do you think is like the most obscure president that could get a school named after him yet? Besides like in his hometown or something.
Right. I imagine that up to at least Reagan, there's probably at least one school named for every single president, except for like, so there's two directions to go with this.
Yes.
There's William Henry Harrison, who served for a month, and that's it.
But I feel like, doesn't that seem like a school name though?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like it's definitely out there, but that's so, if you're saying like based on accomplishments, obviously it's him.
Yeah. Right.
But, I'm going to say, so to get a little bit long-winded with it as usual. I'm very good. I have a very good memory, as you know. Maybe the people at home do not. For like, but not for like important stuff, for like really dumb, obscure stuff.
Your ability to recall dates that things happened like it in our lives is just, it makes no sense to me how you are able to do that.
Yeah. I'm weirdly good with dates, and I'm weirdly good with like capitals and presidents.
Okay. Yeah.
And so like I don't remember how long ago this was. Probably, obviously pre-pandemic, probably 2.5 years ago, we were in a bar, and this girl that Angie's brother was dating at the time, she had like the list, or we got talking about the state capitals or something. And so she was like going through, and she was like amazed at how many state capitals I knew. Cause I only missed like 4 or 5. And it was like, the really, the stuff that you don't think of. But the reason I say this is because the only president whose name that I occasionally see and go, was he president or was he just like an important dude, is Warren G. Harding.
Harding. Okay.
Yeah, that is for me, which is weird because it's a relatively modern president.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I can't even completely place like what decade he would have
20s
been in. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I know now because it's come up so many times.
You've locked it in by this point.
That I've now locked it in. But there was a period of time where I was like, was Warren G. Harding president, or was he just a like important dude like a Rockefeller or whatever?
Right.
Okay, and I haven't made an ass of myself. He was president from 21 to 23.
Nice work. All right, so right now I am searching Warren G. Harding High School. I knew that his middle initial was G. We do have a Warren G. Harding High School in Warren, Ohio.
Wow.
Was the town named
it's
after
actually
him?
It's just G. Harding High School in Warren, Ohio.
The Warren G. Harding High School. Yeah, I'm very confused. What is the town name? Did they like change their name once they had a president?
I don't know if we want to go down that rabbit hole.
I'm going, man. It's too late. He was from Ohio, or at least he went to college in Ohio. Okay. You're right. This is a dangerous, but I just need to see where he was from. He was born in Blooming Grove, Ohio. He went to Ohio Central College. Yeah. Interesting. Well, there you go. Yeah. Warren G. Harding, at least you're right. I mean, we already said it. There's probably at least one high school named for everybody, but
yeah, it's a name that like I said, like it's almost like a Rockefeller or a Carnegie, where for a while there, I was like, was this just an important rich dude or was this like the president? But now, yeah, I've got him locked in. So
I have to Google search, was Warren, Ohio named after a president? What the heck? Warren, Ohio, which has Warren G. Harding High School in it, which Warren G. Harding was from Ohio. Warren, Ohio was named for the town surveyor, Moses Warren. It has nothing to do with Warren G. Harding, but okay. Well, I'm glad
maybe they had founded the town and then they were like, let's also name the high school after another Warren. Let's be really all in on Warrens.
Yes. I like
they were really rooting for it. Was 100% for Elizabeth Warren and Warren, Ohio. When they held the primary.
They would have changed the name of the school to Elizabeth Warren G. Harding High School. All right. I didn't know where we were going to go with this opening question, but I feel like we went sufficiently far with that and got a little something out of it. So
I agree.
Thanks for wearing that shirt.
Yeah. I actually almost changed into a sleeveless shirt because that's usually what I wear when I record. But
right.
Figured that I got so caught up because I forgot the ring light so you could see me properly.
Right.
That I completely forgot to change shirts.
It was fate. All right. Well, we're going to talk about episode 403. Before we do that, Anthony, what are you drinking tonight?
Yeah. Well, Josh, we've got I mentioned this before we started recording, but we got an episode where I was like, after I got done watching it, I was like, this is going to be, I think, quite a discussion. I think there's a lot to unpack here. So I switched it, got a little rum and Diet Coke. Hey. Drinking out of my commemorative glass that I bought at the Monster Club in Omaha, my new favorite bar.
Yes, the horror movie themed bar.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good commemorative pint glass.
It takes a lot for me to go that route, and we were there, and I noticed that my beer glass was branded, and I was like, we don't have a ton of pint glasses.
Yeah,
I'm gonna see if I can buy one of these, and they were like, "Yep." So,
sweet. Yeah, I've been off beer a little bit as of late, as you know, but I also, in preparation for the double header tonight, we are recording a double, which we haven't done. We're, getting old and soft and, we have lives again. So,
yeah.
But we're doing a double tonight. So we had some leftover, what's it called? I hate it, but I drank it anyway. Fireball. There was Fireball. I hate Fireball. Just randomly in our cupboard. So I had a little glass of that while I was watching TV before this. So I got that going. And then the only thing left in the fridge was just straight Bud Light. So poured that into a nice glass here, and that's what I'm going with. So
we went and had a little happy hour with our neighbors down the hall last night at a little restaurant that's like literally like a stone's throw, like from our apartment. Like I could probably throw a stone from the top of our apartment and get real close to this place. Mm-hmm. But hadn't done like a light beer in a long time, and they had $2.50 Coors Light pints was part of the happy hour special. So I was like,
"Yep,
I guess I got to do a little Coors Light." It was all right.
Yeah, not my favorite light beer, but really, it's all kind of the same, and it's all fine.
Yeah.
So,
yep, exactly.
Well, good. That's what we're drinking. That's the president that we has at least one high school named after him. So we're going to get into it. This is episode 403. This episode is entitled In the Skin of a Lion. It originally aired November 11th of 2009.
My little brother's birthday.
Oh, well, which one?
Brandon.
Hey, happy birthday, Brandon.
we call him up. Lion. We call him up every year and we just say, "Hey, happy Veterans Day, man." And he's just like, "Hey, it's my birthday too." I'm like, "No, you can't. You're not allowed to have a birthday on a holiday.
That's stolen valor."
Yeah. Happy Veterans Day. Nice try.
November 11th. So remember, folks, fans of the show, to wish Anthony's brother a happy birthday come November 11th. And a happy Veterans Day. What does our new friend that we're still feeling out, Haven Iron Oak, have to say about this one?
Yeah, here it is. Coach Taylor and the team struggle to come up with the funds for new uniforms, and Coach makes a commitment that may get him in trouble with Mrs. Taylor. Riggins bonds with Becky, his new landlady's daughter. Matt's artist mentor influences both Matt and Julie. Landry's interest in Jess increases, and he discovers that she knows football when she tutors him on kicking.
All right.
Getting a little insane. I really do think, I'm wondering if this is what happened in Movie Dude 1 is he started off stronger than we realized and he descended into madness, because there's a little bit of...
So we'll get into this, but I went back and looked at a little early Movie Dude 1 for inspiration tonight, and it actually was pretty normal back in season 2.
Yeah.
It was to the point. It was brief. So we'll see what happens with old Haven Iron Oak here. Is there anywhere in particular here that you sense him going off the rails a little bit? Or because I am just at listening to you, I thought it sounded fairly straightforward.
The Matt's artist mentor influences both Matt and Julie has a real Movie Dude 1 feel to it. I think that sentence, it's like just vague enough. But like, yeah.
Yep. No, that's good. That's a good point. I mean, if we're going to give Old Haven Iron Oak a rating here, I mean, I think it's pretty solid. We still haven't figured out the complete terms of how this scale works, but
yeah,
I don't know, maybe like a 7.
Yeah, I think a 7's good. But you know what I'm more interested in? In a new segment here on Reliving the Lights called the MoviedudeTwo synopsis. Josh and I have taken it upon ourselves. Every other episode, he will write his own Movie Dude 1-esque synopsis for an episode, and I will write my own Movie Dude 1 for the next episode. So yeah, Josh, let's hear the Movie Dude 2 synopsis for this episode.
Man, this was humbling. This was really humbling to try and write this. I had
Angie help with mine for the next episode.
Okay, well then yours is going to be way better than mine. Because I felt like I owed Movie Dude 1 a little bit of an apology to a certain extent.
I'm really happy with make sure you tune in next week, because I'm very happy with how mine turned out.
Okay, good. Then we'll set the bar low with mine here. And I did. I felt like, okay, I can work into this. We'll just get something out there now and we'll have nowhere to go but up. So, all right, here it is. Our very first Movie Dude 2 plot synopsis. I registered that on IMDb, by the way. I got that name.
Yep. Hell yeah. We gotta do it. Like, we gotta actually go in and do these synopses, like add them to the IMDb.
Already submitted mine, waiting for approval.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. And be just brutally honest with the rating, all right? I'm embarrassed. This is like more vulnerable than I've felt on the podcast. Even like our big, like in our feelings emo episode a few weeks back. This is okay. Are you ready?
Yep. I'm not going to look at you. I'm just going to listen and I'm just going to take it in.
Okay. Coach Taylor feels the crunch of his financial Let me try again. Okay.
I can be.
Yeah. Coach Taylor feels the crunch of his financial decisions. Tim feels the crunch of Becky's feelings towards him. Julie feels the crunch of Matt's deepening relationship with Richard Sherman. The East Dillon Lions feel the crunch of needing to finish a game to not get cut. Landry feels the crunch of becoming the team's new punter. Luke feels the crunch of needing to perform so that he can get out of town someday. Yeah.
So here's the question. Mm-hmm. Do we rate based on how similar it is to Movie Dude 1, or do we rate yours on the Movie Dude 1 scale?
That's a good question. I think we rate it on the Movie Dude 1 scale because that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to keep the legacy going of Movie Dude 1 I'm just realizing like that's a lot of sentences that I used.
Yeah,
so
too many sentences.
Yeah, so that
as far as
work.
like being to Movie Dude 1, and that was something that I really focused on mine, was like trying to use commas.
Yes,
and try to okay, here I'm gonna do both. So on the like getting it to Movie Dude 1, you picked a theme and stuck with it, which is good.
That's my
however,
that was my only thing.
I think a secret to the Movie Dude 1 thing is also like changing the phrasing of the word. You just did feels the crunch.
Yep.
So there's room for improvement there. But good. I think it's for a first outing, it was good while trying to sound like Movie Dude 1.
Yes.
On that scale, because you repeated feels the crunch too many times, I got to give you like a 4.
I feel like that's generous. So thank you. I really did. After I like tried to do it, and granted, I was trying to also do it in the voice of Movie Dude 1. So that adds another layer. But I was like, no, it's kind of hard to to write a recap.
Yeah, because you the thing is, I think the first thing you have to do is pick out what your theme is.
Right.
And for me, as we'll talk about next
episode,
I picked just one part from the episode and was like, all right, can I work with this?
Yes.
And kind of jumped with it. So we'll see how I rank.
You know what I really wanted to make this revolve around? I don't know if you noticed, but for some reason, there was a scene where Tim was brushing his teeth, and then there was a scene where Julie was brushing her teeth.
Oh.
And I was like, are they doing this on purpose? And so I like lashed onto it. And so in my mind, I was like, maybe I can like wrap that into the theme of the Movie Dude 1, but I couldn't pull it off. So
it's all right.
I just started in one spot and then just kept it going. So no, this is good. I definitely, aspire to improve and get better at it. So I'm fine with it being not that impressive to begin with, but no, I promise I will keep upping my game.
Yeah. So
I did submit that. So if you pending approval, if you go to the IMDb page, we are MoviedudeTwo, and it is, I couldn't get MovieDude numeral 2. I had to do spelled out 2. So it's MoviedudeTwo.
Okay.
So be on the lookout for that.
That's a good important note. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's our first foray into synopsis writing.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, give it your own
on
rating.
Twitter.
Yes,
but not on Facebook because we probably won't see it for a while.
You can talk amongst yourselves over there. We'll catch up eventually. All right. Well, I'm excited next week to hear what you got. But all right. So this episode starts in East Dillon, and we know that it's East Dillon because hip hop music is playing.
Yes.
Not the Panthers. The Lions are having.
I had a really hard time in my notes not writing down Panthers.
I had to erase multiple times. They're having a little football fundraiser. Coach is getting them going.
Yeah, this fundraiser apparently involves pushing a car around town
and yelling at people.
Yeah, the whole town is running. The whole team is just pushing this car around town while Stan is in the vehicle with a big, not megaphone, but like a home, the non-electrical type of megaphones, whatever cheerleaders use. I don't know what you call those, but, and just yelling at people. There's a nice little exchange with Tinker and Coach.
Yep.
That I didn't quite write down the exact phrasing of. I don't know if you did.
Anthony, I did.
Okay. Let's hear it from you.
Coach is explaining the fundraiser. He says, any questions? Tinker says, matter of fact, I do have a question. What is it, Tinker? Why are we pushing this damn car? 1, you need to watch your language. 2, next time I see you, I want whatever that is on your upper lip shaved off. So Coach giving Tinker some crap on his terrible facial hair. Not a problem we have here at Reliving the Lights.
No,
I'd say. But yeah, Coach Stan is really leading the charge on the megaphone, going full Coach Stan on East Dillon.
Yeah. We get a scene that this is probably where I would have drawn from this little storyline with my MoviedudeTwo segment. I was thinking like if I would have had to do this one, what would I go with? And I think I would have found something with like keeping the faith or something as the direction I would have maybe gone with it.
Okay.
But we get a little conversation with Tammy, who is feeling a little bit disrespected by the members of the congregation at the church that they attend in Dillon.
Yes.
Julie kind of, I don't remember what the exact wording she uses, but she says like, well, this isn't going to be my life. Like Julie or Tammy says like, yeah, people are going to talk trash. That's like, whatever, it's part of life. And Julie's like, well, this isn't going to be my life.
Yeah.
And Tammy is like, well, what do you mean? And Julie kind of just tells her like, this church is full of hypocrites. You know, it sucks. It's essentially, Tammy kind of tells her, hey, there's hypocrites everywhere. Like that isn't just the church.
Yeah.
And we kind of get a little concern coming from Tammy, and this becomes a very large part of this this episode.
Well, okay. So I want to get your perspective on this. I didn't even mention this in my MoviedudeTwo summary, and that's because I did not think that this related to anything else in the episode.
It didn't.
It's like they needed something for Tammy and Julie to do, and
right.
So I was like, this seems superfluous, and I didn't completely get it.
I agree, but I also think like it's an interesting thing to explore personally. I think it's maybe something that they've wanted to explore for a while, and finally we're like, hey, we don't have Tammy or Julie doing anything in this episode. Let's do this. Because while I don't want to dive in too deep, but like every time that they went back to this, it comes up like 4 times, and each time it's just Tammy like riding Julie about this.
She's
and
not
I was just
letting
like,
it go.
Tammy, freaking back up. Like is how I felt by the end of it. But we'll get there.
Yeah. All right, we see we're back at the fundraiser. Stan is still just going ham on this megaphone. Like, he is doing his best to raise as much money as he can in a completely Coach Stan way. And it turns out that Coach and Tim are like secretly handing out money to the crowd, like out in front of the car. Like,
yeah.
So this is kind of a fundraiser, but I guess also like Coach's way of encouraging the team, showing, like, hey, the community supports you. Look at all this money they're giving. But
yeah, because Tim comes over and is like, I need some more money, and Coach is like, I've only got that's $100. I don't have any more.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like to encourage the players or if it's like the thing where, you put a few dollars in the tip jar at the beginning of the day to encourage people to like, oh, other people gave, I better give. You got to give. If you use it, you got to give.
You got to give. Yeah, it's hard to say exactly what they're, because I almost got the impression that people were taking money out of the.
They said that.
They
said some people are taking it. I've actually seen that happen in a church before. I can't remember where it was or what the context was, but it was a person who was not a churchgoer, and the offering plate came around and like, oh, okay. Like thought people were taking it rather than putting it in.
Oh, did they actually think that, or was that their excuse?
I don't know. So this is completely unrelated to the episode, but that reminds me of one of my favorite church stories like that, where we were taking communion. This was at our home church in Platt. Mm-hmm. We were doing communion, and it was communion by intinction. So that's where like you take a piece of bread and then you dip it like in the juice and take it that way, which is not something that our home church did a lot. Mm-hmm. So this was a new thing. And I remember being behind this old guy, and he went up into the line and he like tore a piece of bread off the loaf, stuck it in his mouth before realizing that like he was supposed to dip it first. Mm-hmm. So then he spits it out of his mouth, like bleh, spits it out of his mouth, and then dips it in the communal cup and eats it. And the person holding the cup, the communal cup, was just like had this horrified look on her face, like, oh, what do I do with this now? So they like took it back and switched it out. But yeah,
that's good. I'm glad that got caught.
Yes, that was quite the moment. I guess we're talking about church a lot with Julie and Tammy, so it fits.
It does.
That was irrelevant. But
yeah, Richard needs a ride. Richard Sherman needs a ride.
It's funny every time.
It really is. Richard Sherman needs a ride from Matt to Clearwater, which we learn is 200 miles away.
Yeah.
Matt is reluctant because he has to work at his pizza job. Mm-hmm. But Richard says like, oh, like this is more important.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what his.
Yeah. Like I'm supposed to give you the wisdom of, the world, and you're not willing to drive and pay for gas, basically. So,
yeah.
I referred to him both as Richard Sherman and Dickie Sherman in my notes because I thought they were both equally funny. So at least to myself.
That's a good bit. So
next we see Coach at school. He's talking to the principal, whose first name is Levi. I could never catch his last name, but Principal Levi. Yeah. He's kind of trying to work him, trying to get new uniforms, trying to explain that, the principal's like, well, you already have uniforms. I was like, well, no, I burnt them. But the principal kind of says, well, let's see if you can finish some games before I start writing checks for the football team. And he kind of gives him an ultimatum, like either you turn this thing around or we're going to cut the program. And implies, and I didn't really get this impression before, but he says like, you weren't supposed to take this job. You're the only one who didn't get the joke of, offering this job. So,
yeah,
I never got that impression before, but I guess
same. Yeah.
It kind of makes sense. Like, I guess you wouldn't expect one of the best coaches in Texas football to take a terrible coaching job like that. So.
Right.
So maybe, but yeah, coach kind of finds out like his ass is kind of on the line. The football team's ass is kind of on the line a little bit.
Becky brings Tim some toast for breakfast. Well, she visits him under the guise of bringing him breakfast, toast for breakfast, because she actually needs a ride to school. Tim is annoyed by this.
Yep.
We get another scene of Tammy bringing up church with Julie. Julie basically tells her that she's like, I don't hate it, but like if you guys didn't go, I wouldn't go.
Right.
Which, I mean, I don't know. I think that there's a conversation to be had here, and maybe we should just have it at the end. So we'll come back to Tammy and Julie.
Yeah. I just like to make a note that, boy, there's a lot of Gracie in this episode.
Yes, there
is.
Like
they were trying to make up for lost time or something, or like, hey, we can get the kid.
Gracie's here? Yeah.
They could like get the kid for a certain amount of time, and so just tried to pack her in as much as they
were
could.
Within child labor law hours.
Exactly.
That filming.
Yep. I was kind of under the impression for the first couple episodes, the few glimpses that we got of her, that maybe she did not look so weird anymore. She still looks weird. She's still,
you were wrong.
I was wrong. False hope on Gracie. So sorry,
even
Gracie.
Angie. I don't remember if it was this episode or the next episode, but Angie even made a comment where she was like, God, that baby.
I know. The forehead, it's so big.
Yeah. It's like her hair on top. And I mean, I can relate to this, but her hair on top is like, it's super blonde and also like pretty thin. And so she's almost got like a Hulk Hogan.
It is like a Hulk Hogan mullet.
From the wrong angle, it almost looks like, like she's got male pattern baldness, but long hair in the back. Very odd.
Oh, well, I wish we could track her down just to make sure that she turned out okay, but it did not start well for young Gracie.
No.
All right, we see the boosters. Buddy walks in. They're making fun of Coach Taylor forfeiting the game.
Yeah, this is 2 weeks after like the forfeit, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, again, the timeline is messy.
At least a week and a half, because there was that week last week where the Panthers had a game, but East Dillon didn't for some reason, which worked out because they burnt their jerseys. But like Joe McCoy is loudly like, and then Coach Taylor forfeited the game. And it's just like, this was, I don't know, maybe it's just telling as to how quickly things accelerate now, like in the world that we live in. I was thinking about this actually last weekend because I went to go see the movie Old, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. And after I got out of it, I was thinking about how there was all the jokes on Twitter for like a week about the beach that makes you go old.
Right.
And being like, oh, this movie's less than a month old and those jokes feel ancient.
Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah. Like they're that gone. So like maybe that just speaks to how accelerated like, jokes go and come and go now.
Yeah.
But like I was like, why are they still laughing? Like that wouldn't still be funny, but maybe it would.
Maybe in 2009 stuff was funny for longer, but I actually wouldn't know if those jokes died out, because I went ahead and put a muted words thing on Twitter for beach. I was like, okay, everybody's just making the same joke over and over again. I'm good on the beach thing.
Yeah. So, that's probably smart.
What was your letterboxd rating for
I enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 3 or 3.5.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. However, and you can cut this, there was a scene that made me literally like, okay. And I think I remember like meaning to talk about this last week. I gave it a 3.5. But so there's a scene, so the beach makes you get old.
Yeah.
And so when the movie starts, there's 3 kids. 2 of them are like 5 and 6, and they're brother and sister, and the other girl is like 5. And then like they, turn into like teenagers, like while they're on the beach or whatever. So we find out at one point, one of these teenagers is pregnant. So these 2 6-year-olds
jeez,
in like teenage bodies.
Yeah.
But 2 6-year-olds.
Oh.
Yeah. It was just like, why would you, I understand like the scene that it brings and all that, but I was just like, why would you put that in the movie? Like what a questionable.
That's really
like
weird,
just the implication.
Right.
And I put that in my letterbox review, but I also put it behind a spoiler wall because I was like, I don't want to ruin this, but like how up. Like
jeez.
Yeah. So
weird.
Very questionable. But apparently it was in the original short story that the movie is based on, so I can't fault M. Night for that one. But.
Anyway, I really do not know how we got there, but the boosters. Oh yeah, how things. How jokes fade out quicker.
Yes.
Anyway, Joe McCoy and the boosters are just yucking it up about Coach Taylor forfeiting the game. Buddy comes in, and it's immediately awkward. There's tension with Buddy and the boosters. Somebody points out that, hey, Buddy, we didn't see you at the game on Friday. What's going on? Kind of beating around the bush for a little bit, but Joe McCoy doesn't beat around the bush. He makes a pretty
the man does not know subtlety.
No. You don't become the stud of suds by being indirect.
No.
So he makes a pretty pointed accusation to Buddy about the mailbox, and Buddy kind of takes he doesn't take the full stand yet, but he kind of says, hey, listen, I've been a Panther since before any of you were Panthers.
Yep. I've been the Panther the longest here. And
yeah. So I'll just pretend you didn't say that,
mm-hmm.
Joe McCoy, you frickin' scumbag.
Yeah. It's a pretty tense little scene. We're at practice. Luke is not feeling very welcome. Vince is talking a little trash. And Coach has Luke practice with the defensive backs, which Luke is pretty frustrated by because he is a star running back.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like he should be practicing with the defensive backs. But no. Coach kind of tells him, you do what I tell you. This is my team, whatever. So you practice the DBs with Tim Riggins. And why Tim Riggins is the defensive back coach, I don't know either. But
well, it was kind of weird too. Coach is like, Tim, take Luke over to the defensive backs, and Tim literally just like walked with him over to the defense. Like,
yeah,
Luke could have walked there himself, but
maybe Tim isn't the coach of the defensive backs. Maybe Tim was just his chauffeur there.
Yeah, but Tim, we start to see that Tim's going to take him under his wing a little bit.
Yeah,
like he's developing a relationship with Luke. So, Julie is accompanying Matt once again out delivering pizzas, which again is just sad. So apparently they hadn't Googled Richard Sherman before.
Yeah.
Like they're just discovering that he's actually a really good.
You gotta remember this was 2009. Like the iPhone was on like the second generation. Like this is clearly Julie's first smartphone. You gotta remember like how quickly things once again have accelerated in the last 11, 12 years.
Yeah.
Like it's possible you just didn't do this because you just didn't have it there all the time.
That's true. You would have had to remember to Google Richard Sherman later when you were sitting by your desktop PC at your house. So I guess, you probably couldn't. We've probably talked about Cha-Cha before, but you probably wouldn't ask Cha-Cha, hey, what's the deal with Richard Sherman?
Yeah. Richard Sherman is a star defensive back for whatever college he went to.
Yeah, right.
I don't know why I did the movie phone voice for that.
So they finally figure out, hey, this guy actually is a legitimate artist. They kind of find it like a glowing review of him online and like a preview of like a show he's doing or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, something at like the Texas Museum of Modern Art or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Matt's kind of perplexed by this.
He's kind of like, what do they mean? He's, I don't remember what the word is, but
ethereal or something like that.
Like he's just a jerk,
Just a jerk. Yeah, and he is still dreading this drive to Clearwater that he's got lined up with Dickie.
400 miles of hell.
Yeah. We see Coach talking to the Under Armour rep. Money's tight. My wife pointed out that this guy, the Under Armour rep, is one of the main characters on Parenthood. Is that what it's called? Parenthood? Yeah, which is a Jason Katim's show that I enjoy, but I stopped watching because it's too emotional and I don't want to get in my feelings every time I turn on the TV. Sure. So
might have to, or if that's streaming somewhere, that might be a good palate cleanser after we finish The Americans, because
Lindsay loves it. She's watched it like 2 times.
I imagine Andrew would be a big fan of that.
So, and I like the episodes I watch. It's just too emotional.
Half hour or an hour?
I think it's hour.
All right.
Yeah, I know.
That's like
for your nighttime show.
Yeah, half hour is like so perfect. And Americans has been really tough for us because there was like a solid like probably 4 or 5 episodes in a row that I would fall asleep like in the middle. I'd see the beginning and the end, but I would miss like crucial points in the middle. But you can work off of context clues. There's nothing I've like missed that I've been like, what?
Yeah, an hour show is a big commitment.
When you're already late, and then like for us, like our TV is up on top of our fireplace in our bed,
in your bedroom,
our bedroom. So it's like we're already in bed watching it. Like, so you're already in bed, you're already covered up.
It's really the reason why I resisted rewatching Friday Night Lights so long with Lindsay. Is because when we watch a show together, it's at the end of the night, and I just want to watch a show that I don't have to think about and fall asleep.
Right.
So I put it off, and then I just started watching it without her, and we've talked about that on the podcast before. But
here we are. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, Doug, I did not catch his name, but sure, Doug, the Under Armour rep, he's willing to work with Coach on this, but he needs to bring some money back. He says like, we'll give it to you for cost, but I got to bring something back.
And he's going to throw in, because you've been such a loyal customer, we're going to throw in some hats and some other like polos and stuff for you.
Yep. Which is good because we know that they didn't have enough hats for the coaching staff already. So Coach ends up writing him a check for $3,000, and he hands it to him, and Doug like, oh, this is a personal check. You sure about that?
Yeah.
And Coach says, I'm good with it if you're good with it. And Doug takes it. So Coach putting the money down.
Yeah. He's a big thing, as we learn, especially in a few scenes. This was maybe not a great decision by Coach Taylor.
Yeah, not so much.
So Tammy and Coach have another conversation about Julie and church concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Coach does not seem to care at all.
No, he completely brushes it off.
Yeah, he's basically like, she's a teenager. Next week she'll probably be, all back about it. Like, don't worry about it too much. Tammy's like, okay, maybe you're right. But also, did you use a check from the checkbook? Because we got a missing check. And Coach lies about it, says that it was a $45 check to
the dry cleaners.
Red's
Dry Cleaners, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. It's just, he paid a $45 check to the dry cleaners. No big deal. Don't worry about it. And Tammy's like, you can't be doing that. You got to balance the book.
You balance your checkbook?
No, never.
No, nobody balances their checkbook anymore because you write like 5 checks a year.
Yeah. I write 12 checks a year and they're all for rent.
Oh, sure.
Everything else is done with my card or like through PayPal or Venmo or whatever.
Right.
And I can view that happening in real time on my banking app.
Exactly. Outdated pop culture reference, not pop culture, but outdated culture reference of the week is balancing your checkbook. That's not a thing anymore.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, if a check doesn't get cashed, I wouldn't know, but
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I check probably like once a week my balance, just to be like, oh, yep, I'm pretty much where I thought I was.
Right.
Or be like, did that rent check clear yet? Or where am I at? Like, how worried should I be with my balance? But
Coach just straight up lies. Like, this is about as like bald faced lies you can get for Coach.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You can't explain this one away after the fact. So he kind of goes all in on this one.
What we come to learn later in the episode about, which makes me a little bit worried about Coach and Tammy's finances.
Yeah, they didn't have $3,000 in their checking account.
Which, like, Angie kind of like, I was thinking it, but Angie said it. She was like, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but later in the episode, Tammy's like, we don't have $3,000 in our checking account. And I was like, maybe they just have all their money in savings.
I guess.
But also that's easily transferable, but also it was 2009. But also even then, I'm pretty sure that you could have like made a call and done that.
Yeah, you could have taken care of that in like 10 minutes or less for sure.
Yeah. But
I also was, that doesn't seem right, but okay.
I'm wildly financially irresponsible, and I'm pretty sure I have over $3,000 in my checking account right now.
Yeah.
So Matt and Richard are about to leave on their little trip to Clearwater.
Yeah.
Richard's still pretty rude, smoking in Matt's car, making Matt take his own personal vehicle. Making Matt pay for gas.
Yeah.
Matt's
not crazy about that, obviously. But I got a little ahead of myself earlier. But this is where Richard says, like, hey, I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom here, the secrets of, how to become an artist. Like, the least you can do is pay for gas. Coach calls Landry into his office and tells him he's going to be the punter for the Lions now.
And he tells him to work on his punting.
Yeah, right.
But he's serious because he calls him Landry.
Yep, right. It's not Lance. it's Landry. Landry says he's more of a hands guy, but
he's like, I'll work on catching some punts. No.
So Landry's going to be doing that. Luke comes into Coach's office to tell him, hey, listen, Coach, no hard feelings, about what happened with your wife and your wife sending me over here.
Just want to let you know I don't hold anything against you.
Yeah.
Which is not the phrasing that I maybe would have used.
No.
Coach is like, well, you did it to yourself.
Yeah, damn right. No hard feelings. Says you were the one that was doing something wrong and you got caught. So yeah, it's not my wife's fault at all. So I would hope that you have no hard feelings against me. I thought I really liked this scene because I felt like, again, it was like Luke showing us that Luke's a good kid, he wants to just like set the record straight and get in there and clear the air, but also a little bit entitled and, misinformed and misguided in his approach to that.
I think it's a great depiction of who Luke is for sure.
Yep. Doesn't go as he planned. We see Matt and Richard picking metal out of the salvage yard. Matt's still trying to glean some wisdom from him. So he says, like, when you're picking this junk out, like, do you see something in it? And Richard clowns him pretty hard at this point.
Yeah, picks up like a shattered windshield or a chunk of a shattered windshield and is like, oh, hold on. Oh, it holds it up to like the sky and he's just like, I see the face of God in this. It's a pretty good bit.
Yeah, Matt got owned and it was great.
Yeah, tells Matt that he asked too many questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The next scene we see Tim, not in his trailer, but in Becky's house. He's brushing his teeth, which is one of two brushing teeth scenes, which I keyed in on. Record. I don't know if you noticed here, and you pointed this out the other day or a few weeks ago that I didn't realize Taylor Kitsch is Canadian.
Yes.
He said something about borrowing.
Borrow.
Yeah,
I caught it too. Yeah.
He said borrow. And I was like, oh yeah, there's that Canadian coming through. So you heard that Canadian
absolutely
part of Taylor Kitsch coming through. Tim's brushing his teeth. Becky asked him his opinion. She's trying to pick out like which dress she's going to wear for the pageant that she's in.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty awkward. Tim kind of asked her like, doesn't your mom help you with this stuff? And she basically says like, yeah, my mom's not around enough to help me or something along those lines. So.
Yeah, Tim, she's like, so tell me which one to wear. And she's like, I can try them both on if you want me to.
Yeah.
And Tim's like pretty visibly uncomfortable and is basically like, I don't care. The pink one, can't go wrong with pink.
Yeah.
And kind of walks out.
Matt. Did we establish, what did we say Becky's age was? Like 16 at the oldest?
Yeah, it's never like outright stated. She's in high school next year, spoiler. So she's like 17 at the absolute oldest.
She's not in high school here?
She is in high school next year. Yeah.
Next year?
Yeah, next season in the 5th season.
But she's not in high school this season?
Yeah.
Okay. You're saying she didn't graduate.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I was like, so you're saying she's in 8th grade this year?
God, no.
Yikes.
No, she's 17 at the oldest because she's still in high school next year. So she does not graduate in this particular season.
Okay. I thought you meant she was a freshman next year. I was like, oh, geez. I thought she was young, but not an 8th grader.
No.
That's very questionable then. Yeah, it's very awkward. Tim's obviously very uncomfortable with the situation that he is in. But I think we also know that we can tell that he feels for Becky. Like he sympathizes with the situation that she's in with her mom not being present and all that.
Yep.
We see Dick and Matt. They're at a bar playing shuffleboard, which I love me some bar shuffleboard. I think it's great. And it's basically curling, which we talked about curling before.
Yes.
Curling is just shuffleboard on ice, right? Like basically,
more or less. Yeah.
Yeah.
With a little, a few more steps. But
right.
Yes.
Yep. So I love playing shuffleboard down there at Fernson's downtown in Sioux Falls. They got that shuffleboard table in there. Lindsay and I'll go and have some pints and play shuffleboard.
When I was still in office, we had a shuffleboard and a ping pong table in our break room.
Oh, nice.
And the shuffleboard didn't get used too much, but I always wanted to. I think I've only ever actually played shuffleboard maybe 2 or 3 times and done terribly. I have a hard time really gauging the speed and stuff, but I feel like I would like to get better at it. So
they got a table down at Severance, which is just a couple blocks from your house,
just a stone's throw. Yep.
Go have some good beers. They got good beers there.
Maybe if you get a hold of me when you're in town, we can go do that.
So anyway, Dick and Matt playing shuffleboard. Richard is feeling kind of loose, feeling kind of good. So I was like, all right, let's talk. You want to talk? Let's do it. I'm not a dick all the time. So yeah, have at it. And Matt asks, I believe the question was, what's the most important tool an artist can have? And I think Richard kind of clowns him again at that point. But
God, you asked too many questions. And he's like, you just told me.
Yeah. But Richard ends up saying that selfishness is the best tool that an artist can have because you're supposed to put this deep, dark corner of yourself out into the world. And in order to do that, you basically have to say, screw everything else. I'm just going to focus on
you have to put yourself in front of everything, people, family, girlfriends, God. Yeah.
Yep.
Etc. So, and Matt kind of seems a little like distraught by this. And yeah, I don't know, his face almost like seemed to show maybe like a little bit of a naivety about it, like thinking that he could do it without the selfishness, which, probably you can. I'm pretty sure you can be an artist without being selfish, but I don't know. I'm not an artist, so can't speak on that.
We know Peter Berg seems to be a real selfish ass, but we enjoy his art, at least this show. I don't know about everything else, but
yeah, I watched Battleship while we've been recording this and wasn't nuts about it. But.
Yeah.
Coach meets with Buddy for advice on fundraising. Buddy, first of all, is like way too anxious to even talk about it. He's worried that the Panther boosters are on his trail, that they might have slipped a recording device on him. There might be somebody listening in right now. Maybe the bartender is a secret Panther booster. He just can't shake them. They're crazy, Eric. They're crazy. Yeah. But he does. Is it in this scene where he tells Coach, like, no, it's next episode, I think, where he says something along the lines of like, you can't just create a booster. It's got to come from the heart. I think that's in the next episode.
I think that is next episode, but I definitely wrote that quote down. Yeah, it's good. At first I was like laughing at how ridiculous it was, but then I thought, no, this is Joe McCoy that we're dealing with, like scumbag for sure. So maybe Buddy's not so crazy to worry about it. So he does say, the quote I wrote down from this scene is, Buddy is, saying, they might have his phone tapped and stuff, but he says, I mean, they think I'm the one who told you about the mailbox. Coach says, well, you are the one who told me about that. He says, yeah, I know, but I've got to unknow that right now. So yes, Buddy is in a very anxious, paranoid place. Can't help Coach right now. It's just too risky for him. Next, we see Julie brushing her teeth.
The second of two teeth brushing scenes.
There's got to be a MoviedudeTwo theme in there somewhere, but I just couldn't bring it together in time.
Can't unlock it. Yeah.
No. Tammy is pushing the faith conversation again, the God conversation again. I didn't write anything else down besides Tammy's pushing it again.
It's implied that Tammy asked off screen to Julie, if there were an earthquake in Dillon, would she pray? Right. But the scene opens on Julie being like, an earthquake in Texas? Tammy's like, yeah, it happens. What would you do? And so Julie's like, I don't know. I would probably like find a doorway.
Right.
And she's like, I don't know what I'd do. I'll let you know next time there's an earthquake. And Tammy is not letting this go. No. And like finding weird hypotheticals. Like, couldn't you just say a tornado?
Right.
That's already happened.
Yeah. You don't even have to make it hypothetical. You could just say, did you pray when that tornado? But no, she probably didn't, because she was so focused on Tim Riggins' strong arms wrapped around her in that moment.
Yeah, she thought she was with Jesus himself already.
Right. That is a loving embrace that she was. So usually I would be annoyed with Julie's attitude, but I'm not annoyed with Julie's attitude in these conversations. I'm inclined to agree, and maybe no, but yeah, I'm actually the very first scene I actually put in my notes like, Julie speaks for all of us when she basically like derides the church for being full of hypocrites. So we'll get there. We'll get there very, very soon. We promise. But right now, Luke is having a pretty good practice. Yep.
Vince, on the other hand, is struggling.
Yep.
At the end of practice, Tim kind of goes over and tells Luke, like, hey, you did really good out there. Luke is a little bit more concerned because Coach has not complimented him, has not spoken positively to him about his performance on the field. And Tim kind of says, he's got a lot on his plate. As they're having this conversation, Becky is near the practice field and says, "Hey, Tim."
She doesn't do the full bow, but it was still
Right.
bow-esque.
Yeah.
"Hey, Tim Riggins."
Tim kind of like barely acknowledges her.
Uh-huh.
Luke kind of teases Tim about it and is like, Tim's like, "I'm staying with her mom."
Yep, renting a room from her mom.
Renting a room from her mom, that's all. And Luke is like, "I'd rent a room from her mom." Or he says some,
yeah.
He makes some, high school boy statement, basically suggesting that he is sexually attracted to Becky
and or her mom.
Right.
Apparently Tim has not established himself as an authority figure yet, because I don't feel like that's something you would say to just any coach. Football coach.
I think he's maybe in like the Ryan Bruns status as a coach, as Bruns was as a teacher, where like, this is like an authority figure, but also he's basically my age, so like I feel comfortable sharing things with him that I maybe wouldn't be comfortable sharing with like Mike McCuska, for example.
Right.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Yeah, I thought that too. Yeah, that makes sense. I was just always super authority conscious, I feel like, when I was in high school, so I would be afraid to say anything like that to anyone. Especially an authority figure. So Vince and the guy that I refer to in my notes as Bozo, playing basketball in the park.
Yeah, this guy is just nothing but trouble. Like, bad news.
That's why he's in the show. It's just to stir things up.
To be a bad influence on Vince.
Mm-hmm. We can tell.
A bad influence.
Influence. No.
Cut that out.
Not gonna. That's gonna stay in. We can tell we're in East Dillon because the camera shot is like at an angle,
crooked.
It's like crooked.
You see, somebody has left a Gatorade bottle, like probably like 35% full, nearby the court, and not bothered to throwing it away.
That's how we know we're in East Dillon.
That's how you know you're in East Dillon. Yeah.
Vince is frustrated, is expressing his frustration to Bozo about how Coach is treating him and how Luke is coming in. Bozo is basically telling him he needs to be careful of Whitey.
That they brought in Luke Cafferty, who is white, and the coach is going to favor the white guy because white people look out for themselves, so you also have to look out for yourself. Which is not incorrect advice, but I think in this situation it is incorrect advice.
Yes, it's an incorrect interpretation of what's happening.
Yes,
for sure. We see Luke and Tim talking. Luke is bitching about Coach having it in for him or out for him. Is it having it in for him or having it out for him? Having it out for him, in or out. Tim tells him, like, listen, you just got to trust Coach. Kind of talks him down a little bit about it. But then Tim goes and talks to Coach about it, kind of passes that along. Like, hey, listen, Luke is not feeling the greatest about how you've been treating him or not noticing. And Coach basically tells him, like, listen, I don't have time for sensitivity training and all that.
I'm not going to kiss his ass.
Yeah. Luke's got to get over it.
Because he's some big star from the Panthers.
Yeah.
He's not going to get special treatment.
Quit acting like he's gracing us with his presence.
Which I feel like Luke is not doing that at all.
No.
I think Coach is just being unfairly harsh on him because he's afraid of being perceived as having special treatment.
I do think that I think it comes across as Luke does feel a little bit entitled and is used to having attention. Like he's used to being a star. He's used to,
he's used to the compliments, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Coach is going out of his way not to compliment him.
Yes.
So it's a little from column A, a little from column B.
It's both ways for sure. Landry is practicing his punts and he sucks at it.
He's really bad. It's like it's honestly like I'm pretty unathletic and have like pretty bad like, I guess, muscle intuition when it comes to
Sure.
stuff. But like Landry's form is real bad.
It's bad. The punt that we see is about like a 8-yard punt. Like,
and he like
jumps
in, like he hits. Yeah, it's an odd form.
It's not going well. But Jess shows up. She's got like 3 little brothers or cousins or, family. She's got family with her, little boys. And she shows up and gives him some pointers on how to punt. And Landry takes her advice and, gets off a pretty nice punt. It's clear she knows what she's talking about. She's a pretty good coach. She says she learned it from her dad. He used to be like a really good quarterback, I think. Almost went pro, but now can't stand football.
Yeah, classic tale of a guy who used to be really good at something, but now he won't even talk about it. He hates it so much. A weird, like one of those weird cliches. And I can't think of another example of that, but I know that it's all over. Like you see it all the time.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. For sure, that's a thing.
Coach comes home. He's a little tuned up.
Yeah.
You can hear it in his voice. He sounded like me some episodes in season 2. Tammy, or he tells Tammy, went, had a couple drinks, left the car at the bar, got a ride home from whoever. And he admits to Tammy about the check that it was actually a $3,000 check to Under Armour. She reveals that they don't even have $3,000 in their checking account.
Yikes.
Which, I guess being a parent is very expensive. I don't know. I don't have kids. I would probably not have $3,000 in my checking account.
She's a principal. She's a principal. He's a Texas high school football coach, granted at East Dillon, but still.
Right. And they do only have 1.5 kids.
Well, yeah. Depends on how human you consider Gracie to be.
Exactly.
But, they don't have the money in there. This is obviously a big deal. I don't care if you had more, way more than $3,000 in your checking account. I still feel like writing a check for $3,000 and not telling your spouse and then straight up lying about it, that's questionable no matter what.
Yes.
So that doesn't go over well.
Tammy's pretty pissed.
We get a shot next of the alarm clock. It's 2 a.m. Coach can't sleep. It's keeping him up. Then we see the clock and it's 6 a.m. Alarm goes off. Tammy wakes up. Coach is gone. Little note that says he went to get the car.
Yep.
And we see him driving out to the Cafferty ranch.
Yep. He goes to Luke's home, asks about his displeasure of how practices have been going and his placement on the team. Luke tells him, listen, like, my parents don't give a crap about football. I want to use this to get out of here. I don't want this to be my life. I don't want to live in Dillon forever. I want to use football to get me out of here. And to do that, I need to get a scholarship to go to college and then get beyond that. Coach says, listen, you'll get back on offense when I give you a chance. But what I really need you to do is lead. I need you to be a leader on this team.
Yep. He does say, like, listen, I will do everything in my power to get you that scholarship and get what you want, but I need this one thing from you to lead. We see Tim giving Becky a ride to school, and he asks her, you got a boyfriend? Because he's the one who should be doing all of this. He should be giving you these rides and whatnot. She makes the comment, no, I do not, but maybe it would be more efficient since you're giving me the rides anyway if you were my boyfriend. That's awkward.
Yeah, can't get much more forward than that. I don't think Tim even took it in the way that, like, I think that he took it as if she was joking. Like, did not skip a beat. Even because he's like, hey, you know that Luke Cafferty kid, like, he's pretty into you.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he did not pick up on the hint that Becky was laying down.
Right.
And good for Tim, because he probably shouldn't be considering that option.
Right. Well, and not for a number of reasons. And I do want to talk about this because Becky basically tells Tim that she'll talk to Luke, but like is visibly like, oh, he's not into me.
Mm-hmm.
Angie and I talked about this because Angie made a pretty crass comment that I won't repeat about like what it would take for somebody who slept with your mom to be a person that's desirable for you to sleep with.
Ooh. I didn't think about it from that angle.
Yeah. And that's exactly the angle that I've been thinking of it. I literally wrote in my notes, like, pretty weird that Becky wants or is into Tim because he boned her mom.
Yeah.
And then like, that's what I told Angie is like, it's an interesting dynamic because I know that these are actors on a show. So like naturally for me, if I'm Tim, I'm like mother-daughter, and even if, even knowing Tim the way that we do know him, like, listen, he's got a good heart, but I don't know if he has that good of a heart.
Yeah, right.
To not try to take advantage. I mean, he slept with the Sanderson sisters.
That's a deep pull there.
Yeah, in that one summer, the summer of 2007, it must have been. So, I mean, I don't know that he's above a mother and daughter.
Yeah, right.
Conquest. The only thing, of course, being that it is inappropriate because she is underage, and you can't really depict that because even though Tim is young, he's not.
Yeah.
He's out of high school, so that's
right.
That's a janky line to walk, and one that you probably don't want to. But it's very weird for Becky to be interested in a man that slept with her mother.
I did. I think it's in this episode. Later on in this episode when Becky's mom comes and is like, hey, I'm going to buy you a dress and all that. And they're like walking together. That's in the next one.
Next episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll wait to get into that. But I did just think about like, okay, I'm going to assume that Becky's mom had Becky at a young age. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Because like when they were walking next to each other, it's like, geez, they don't look like a mother and daughter.
Yes.
And I thought, well, if you got a 15-year-old and a 30-year-old or something like that,
exactly. Yep.
Okay, I can kind of see that. Yep. So that makes it like a tiny bit more feasible that like Tim could. It's still weird.
It's still very weird,
but it's not like a 50-year-old and a 15-year-old.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. So Tammy stops by Coach's office. He apologizes for the check for writing that. Says Under Armour's going to work with us on this. That's all I got for that scene.
Yeah.
Not
I'm
much.
going to figure it out. Tammy just says we can't ever let that kind of thing happen again.
Yep.
Coach agrees.
Yep.
Buddy is at a booster party at the McCoy household, which I think every time we see it, just gets more massive and ridiculous.
Yeah, more elaborate and yeah.
But the boosters are kind of talking openly with Buddy about replacing Tammy as the principal. This is the straw that breaks the camel's back for Donnie Garrity.
Yes.
He steps out in the middle of everybody. He says, listen, I'm no longer a Panther. I did tell Coach Taylor about the mailbox. And Joe McCoy, you are a cancer. You're a cancer on me. You're a cancer on this team. You're a cancer on all my friends here. And you're a cancer on the community.
Yeah.
Deuces.
Yeah. And by the way, clear eyes, full hearts.
Oh, yeah.
Can't lose. I wrote in my notes here. Hell yeah, buddy. Buddy's taking a stand for once.
This is the most stand-up we've ever seen, Buddy.
Yep. Matt and Julie I think they're maybe out delivering pizzas or something. I don't know. Probably. That's just
they're hanging out and Matt has to drop something off for Richard. Yeah. Matt says like, hey, wait in the car. I just got to go drop this off. I'll be back in a moment. Julie doesn't even wait a minute.
Hops right
like
out.
We see Matt go into the building. Somehow Richard doesn't see or hear him, even though we can see Richard in the background of the shot where Matt's walking in. Yeah.
I missed that.
Julie literally doesn't even wait a minute.
Yeah.
just hops out and decides to follow Matt in.
Yeah, starts snooping around.
Like really. 15 seconds behind him and stopped by Richard. She explains who she is, and Richard goes, "Oh, so you're the chain bringing Matt down. Yeah. I think I married you about 20 years ago, honey."
Yeah, Julie is shook by that.
Yes.
She kind of, I feel like, just that realization comes flooding in. That reality, I guess, that, oh yeah, dang, maybe Richard's on to something here. Yeah. So, yep, she's shook. It's game time at East Dillon. The Lions are getting, or maybe it must not be at East Dillon, but the Lions are getting booed on their way in.
Yep. It's at, whatever the team they're playing, I forget. But on the way in, was it Tinker? Somebody asked Coach, like, "Hey, what are we doing with our practice jerseys? Like, are we playing in these? Like, what's going on?" And Coach is like, "Tell you what, you just shut the hell up." And so even we as an audience are like, "Oh God, they're going to play in their practice jerseys. Like, this is the struggle is real."
Yeah.
However, they arrive in the locker room and find, I don't know how Coach even finagled this.
That's why I was confused at whether it was East Dillon or not. Because it's like, well, how did he get in the locker room to plant the new uniforms? But the new uniforms are there. They're hanging up. It's a beautiful moment. Coach has a great line here. It says, "They may be new, but they're still work clothes.
Yeah.
Let's go to work." That. Which is great. But obviously the team is pumped to have new jerseys and whatnot. Julie and Matt are out on a date. Matt is kind of excited about the fact that he's made a little bit of a connection with Richard Sherman. Finally, like that Richard had that thing about selfishness or whatever. Yeah. So he's excited about that, but Julie is obviously preoccupied, haunted by the line that Richard laid on her about being a ball and chain, holding him back. And so she asks him, "Am I holding you back?" That's what Richard said. Matt says, "No, you're the most important thing in my life." Julie says, "Well, maybe that's the point." My nomination for Goofus Maloofus moment of the week is the next line, where Matt simply responds to this by saying, "Eat your bean curd." So Matt doesn't really want to address that possibility that maybe Julie's holding him back a little bit.
We get to the actual game. Luke is having a really good game, but the Lions are still getting their asses beat. Luke, near the end of the game, Luke gets a pick, which should have been a pick 6, but Vince is his blocker. He has got one guy to beat, and Vince just kind of
lets him through.
Lets him through. Yeah. I was gonna say whiffed, but he didn't even whiff. He
intentionally
slows down, lets the guy through. Yeah. Coach is extremely upset about this. The Lions then do whiff a field goal attempt. Landry, not even Landry's fault.
No, it wasn't Landry's fault.
It was the catcher's fault, or the guy who catches the ball and
the holder.
The holder.
Yep.
Jesus. The holder's fault. Landry does pick it up, and we get a Landry to Vince kind of forward lateral. I hesitate to call it a pass. Landry to Vince on a forward lateral that does end up getting the Lions a touchdown, their first score. They lose still like 27-7 or something like that. But
they
on the board.
They bumble their way into a touchdown, but it's still a moral victory for the Lions. Yep. I have to check myself every time I start saying Panthers in my mind, and then I have to say Lions. Yep.
So for the 4th or 5th time this episode, Tammy is once again bothering Julie about going to church. But it's kind of a nice wrap up to this little weird storyline, because she does tell Julie that it is important for her and good for her to question her faith. And so yeah, it's a nice little wrap up, and is at least like, I want you to keep going to church, but it is good for you to question your faith and struggle with it a little bit. So a nice little tie-in. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this storyline on the whole, and have a little discussion about it, not to go too long, but
well, I'm glad that you like keyed in on it and resonated with more, because literally what I wrote for this scene is Tammy wraps up the church conversation with Julie. IDK, whatever. Seems like a superfluous storyline. That's what I wrote here. Sure. But I'm glad you took better notes on that, because I like literally didn't pay attention. But I agree with Tammy. And when I was a youth pastor, I remember talking with parents whose kids were like questioning a lot of things, and that was really scary for them and stuff. And I would tell them, like, listen, your kid is probably in a much better place than 85% of the kids that grow up in this very small Christian town that we live in, right? Because those kids are they're just going with it. Like, they're not owning their faith at all. If you don't question things now, they're going to fall apart later, and you're going to be thrown off, and because you never like stop to think about it. And so I always told them, like, listen, it's better that they're questioning now, because that means they actually are like digging into it and thinking about it. So it's actually a good thing, and you just need to, support them in their questions and walk through them and be steady. So I think Tammy ended up in the right place here. If that's what she did, I literally like didn't catch any of that. But if that's where she landed, then way to go, Tammy. I don't necessarily agree with your pestering before, but I like where you ended up. Yeah.
Not to get too personal. Yeah. But I definitely resonated, especially high school. Me really resonated with Julie a lot in this episode. I probably haven't consistently gone to church in, I don't want to even speculate how many years.
Sure.
It's been a while, but I will say that, like, I love talking about my faith. I love talking, like having conversations with people. I think the church setting, and this is probably just my own fault, but like, I feel like I never really got a whole lot out of church, especially in high school and younger. Didn't get a lot out of it. I'm more of like an interactive person. I like to, I don't know. I don't get a lot out of sitting and listening to somebody else's thoughts for 45 minutes or whatever.
Sure.
I get a lot more out of like having those discussions and having those conversations. And maybe I'm probably wrong about that. But like, I think I definitely don't identify with the church that we grew up in.
Right.
I definitely can comfortably say that. There's a lot, there. I think I would probably identify more with red letter Christianity than anything else.
Sure.
At this point in my life. But I don't know. I think that there's something to that. I think everybody has their own experience. I think obviously everybody has their own religious experiences or lack thereof. So like, I don't know. I think, I would tell Tammy, just like, take a chill pill, man. Your kid's going to figure it out. She's still your kid. I understand. I 100% understand, like, as a person who has seen friends leave the church, like entirely, like how heartbreaking and difficult that can be. Yeah. Because I get it. I 100% get it. I think the church is in a very bad place right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that they are losing people almost like on purpose. Like, I know it's not on purpose, but it almost seems like it's on purpose because it's like, you got to figure stuff out. They're going to lose a whole generation. And then those Christians that want to act like they're persecuted might actually not be persecuted in real life, but actually be the minority that they think they are. Right. So I guess there's that. Bully for you guys. But no, I think that I think there needs to be a big reformation in the whole of American Christianity. Yeah. I don't know. it's an interesting, it's something I think about a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think what what also I would tell Tammy in that situation is just own it. Julie's concerns are completely valid. Yes,
for sure.
The church is completely full of hypocrites, 100%. But also, that's kind of the point, right? We all suck, and that's why, we innately suck, and so that's why we need this, And so, rather than try and act the church is perfect and has it all together and should be the one that's making all the decisions and stuff like that, just own it and be we actually do suck, and that's kind of the point, And we need to be more okay with being honest about that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why so many people our age are leaving the church, is because 100%. we grew up believing this was this infallible institution, and then it became very abundantly clear that no, kind of full of in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And so
I think that's the most fascinating thing about it. And I read a lot of books, especially when I was probably flirted with agnosticism for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And I read this book called Losing My Religion that was by a guy who was he grew up in the Catholic Church and basically left the church because of the whole scandal with the
abuse,
the spotlight thing, the abuse and all that stuff. And I remember reading that and being I get it, because the Catholic Church is totally implicit, I think, on the whole there, but also how can you be mad? How can you leave a religion because of what humans do? That's the thing that I've never understood. I mean, if you're listening to this and you're not religious, I'm not going to judge you. I promise you. I get it. But that to me is just not even something that I would consider. I can't imagine. That was the whole book was basically the Catholic abuse thing happened, and then I was oh yeah, there's no God because of what people do, and I was that just did not sway me at all. That's a dumb argument.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't make sense. But I empathize with it. This week was a really good reminder, almost reminder for me in that area. You probably saw, I know you saw on social media that one of a student at Northwestern got baptized, and she was an international student. She came into Northwestern, not interested at all.
Why did she end up? Can I ask you why she ended up there?
I honestly don't know. That's always the question, is how did you end up at Northwestern if you're not a Christian? But she did, and she was actually
on an athletic scholarship or anything.
No, not at all. Not at all. Okay. I honestly don't know. I should ask her. She's studying abroad and leaves on Wednesday, so I should get to the bottom of that. But she was an AV person, and so I worked with her a lot. She ran sound for us and did lights, and came on these retreats that we put on for middle schoolers and stuff. And through that, just through being immersed in it, she met God, and she decided to no, this is what I want to be about now. But as I was at her baptism out at the pond outside of Orange City, I was I feel so bitterly towards the church right now that it's kind of perplexing to me that someone would want to be a part of this. And it was a gut check for me, because I'm I don't understand why somebody would choose this right now.
Right.
But it was a good reminder for me that we can't judge Christianity. We can't judge Jesus by the shittiness of his followers. That's just not, that those two things shouldn't go. So Matt goes to talk to Richard Sherman, and he sees some of his actual art hanging in the shop.
He shows up to the shop and can't find him. And we almost I was worried for a second, because there's you can't find him, and artists,
right.
A lot of suicides going on in art. So I was oh man, this is going to be a tragic scene. And while Matt is looking for Richard, he looks up and sees Richard's art for the first time somehow.
Yeah. Did he just slap this together in the last even day?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But it's not even I wasn't like that impressed by it.
I think if you thought he was a bumbling idiot and just a jerk, and then you saw that, you'd be like, okay, yeah, he actually does do something. I don't know that it necessarily blew me away, but it was real art. It was definitely some, art, just like pornography. I feel like you can know art when you see it.
Art when you see it. Absolutely.
And I felt like
a callback to episode 1.
Yes. And yeah, so turns out Richard is, I think, either sleeping or somewhat drunk. So both, sure. I guess. And he's laying there, and what does Matt say? I don't know. It's something Richard says, yeah, that's a piece of crap.
That's a piece of crap, yeah.
And Matt says, yeah, well, that's a beautiful piece of crap.
Yep.
So we finally see the artistic beauty of Richard Sherman.
Yep.
Coach and Tammy going to bed. Coach says, yeah, we'll get the money together somehow. Tammy says, now that you've gotten through a game, you got to feel good about that. I bet you'll sleep better tonight. Coach doesn't look so convinced that he's going to sleep well.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's it.
That's the end of the episode.
I had credits. My MoviedudeTwo summary sitting there, so I thought we had more, but no, that's it. Roll credits. That's the end of the episode. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back with our awards for the week. Okay, we're back. We're going to give out our awards for the week, and we're going to start, like we always do, with the Coach Taylor Inspo-Rating. Coach had kind of an up and down episode here. Bald-faced lying. Yeah. Not a great look on Coach.
Yeah. You got to take points away for sure from the check.
It's not good.
No, but I think his little work comment, the work clothes comment was good.
It was like literally like 2 sentences, but it was that made up a lot of ground. Those 2 sentences did.
Yep. And I think on the whole, I think he had a net positive episode. So I'm gonna give him a strong 5 to a light 6.
Oh, okay. A little bit higher than I was thinking. I thought that line was good. Really, other than that, though, not a ton. I feel like the bulk of the episode is him navigating this tricky financial situation. So I was thinking a strong 3.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we're a little bit further off than we usually are.
Yeah. We can be in the middle at a 4.
Yeah. Let's go with the strong 4. If you were at a 5 or a 6, I'm fine with a strong 4. So a little bit tougher call this week on the Inspo-Rating. Julie Taylor Hate-O-Meter. Interesting episode for Julie.
Yeah.
I feel like she was still being the rebellious teen that's so annoying, but in this case it wasn't so annoying because I think we resonated with it
in a not annoying way, in a definitely relatable way. I'm inclined to give Julie a 0 at the worst, but I think I'm willing to go into the negatives here because she's having a big life moment I don't think she's necessarily struggling with her faith, but I think that she is kind of, even questioning is a strong word.
Let's say wrestling. That's a very Christianese word, but I feel like it's important. She's wrestling right now with her faith, which is good. Like that's like we mentioned.
Even that is like, it's almost like she's just kind of wondering how important it is to her life. It's not even like she's struggling with it. She's just kind of like wondering where its place is in her life.
Yeah. If this wasn't here, would it matter to me? Exactly. I think that's a fair question to ask.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I like it. I think in season 4, especially, if we can give Julie a negative on the Hate-O-Meter, we do it. I'd even be willing to do like a -2. I felt like I felt like it was relatable and caused a lot of good conversation. I don't know how much of our conversation will make the podcast because we did a deep dive.
Yeah, we did
into the subject, but yeah. Okay, -2, Julie. The rare
negative. We haven't had a negative Julie rating in a while. I think
it's probably been like, I don't think she would have dipped into it in season 3.
No.
Into the positives, maybe some neutrals, but
yeah.
But
I think we had some 0 episodes where she like maybe didn't make a ton of appearances, but
right. Yeah. Well, good. Yeah. Good to see you in the negatives, Julie.
Yeah. Good for you.
Big Rigg beer tally.
Didn't have any in this episode.
Okay. I didn't catch any, but that means nothing because I never catch any. But
right.
So we got a 0 for Tim. What was Tim doing in this episode? Mostly just coaching. Mm-hmm. That's where we saw Tim.
No beers to be had while you're coaching, even when you're Tim Riggins.
All right. The Alamo Freeze presents the Matt Saracen Aw Shucks Goofus Maloofus moment of the week. I made that one note when he, when Julie is asking the question of, am I holding you back? Am I the ball and chain that's keeping you from being successful? And Matt's response was, eat your bean curd.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice. I think almost anything that he does with Richard Sherman is Goofus Maleficent. I mean, the scene where he's just getting clowned on for the smashed windshield trunk, like that was pretty Goofus.
Yeah, I see the face of God. Yeah, that was that's really good too.
I would argue that first scene where the guy's just like, stop asking questions. Even though Matt can't help it, and you'd think that as an I'm not an artist once again, but like I feel like if I was on an art internship, I would at least get a little bit more communication than this guy's given. But.
Yeah. All right. So in my notes, I just put whole episode ? For Matt on this one.
All appearances. Yeah.
Yeah. The Donnie Buddy Garrity sleazeball move of the week.
I don't think we have any.
No, this is
honestly we had the Donnie Garrity hero moment of the week.
Yeah, right. If this was on the same scale as the Julie Taylor Hadometer, he'd be in the negatives here as far as sleazeball moves go. So, way to go, buddy. We're not even going to give you a sleazeball move. I don't think we need to dig one up. We'll just give you this win.
Maybe the right now I need to forget that I told him where the mailbox is, but I think he makes up for that. Even, so.
Yep. The Joe McCoy stud of suds smug scumbag move of the week. I put that in my notes to be aware.
Joking about Coach's forfeit 2 weeks after the fact, like at a booster meeting. Like, are you still recalling it? Like everybody knows that story, so you're not like retelling it to somebody who doesn't already know.
Right.
You're just like repeating. So yeah, I think that's my choice.
It almost reminds me of Buddy mouthing the words of the radio broadcast to the state championship game.
Yeah, like a moment of glory for Joe, even though it doesn't matter like to him really. But.
Right. Notable music cues. Anything pop up in this episode?
Did not have any in this episode.
I even literally
the vague hip hop, the generic hip hop.
Right. There was even a moment towards the end of the episode where it was like a really poignant moment where I felt like they would usually put in some soft acoustic indie song and they were just instead playing Explosions in the Sky-esque music.
Yeah.
To where I thought like, oh, okay, we're going that route this episode.
On the IMDb, there's Friday Night Lights theme, Your Hand in Mine. Odds in my favor, performed by Double O Riders with a Y. At RYDERZ.
Oh, they must be from East Dillon.
Yeah. And then Put Another Quarter in the Jukebox, performed by Buck Owens. So I'm guessing that must have been like at one of the bar scenes. But
yeah, okay. All right. We did have an outdated cultural reference. What was that again?
Balancing the checkbook.
Balancing the checkbook. Yes. People don't do that anymore. Quote of the episode. 1, you need to watch your language. 2, next time I see you, I want whatever that is on your upper lip shaved off. I think that's a nomination.
Yeah, absolutely. That one probably made me laugh the most. We've got, there's 2 quotes on IMDb, and these are the 2 that probably stood out to me, not in a funny way.
Uh-huh.
The first is Coach Taylor saying, hey, listen up. Listen up, gentlemen. Listen up. They may be new, but they're still work clothes. Let's go to work.
Yep, for sure.
And then probably my favorite is Buddy Garrity at the booster meeting saying, hey, I got something to say, everybody. I hate to spoil the party, but this is to everybody. You know what? I'm not a Panther anymore. You used to be my friends. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you believe in, but it's not the Panthers. It's not the Panthers I believed in. It's not the Panthers we grew up with. I'll tell you that right now. And you want to know another thing? I'm the one who told Eric about the mailbox. Hey, I can't live with myself anymore. I put that mailbox in 12 years ago, out in the middle of the night. I dug that hole and put it in. It's my mailbox. I'll do whatever I want to it. Yeah. And Joe, I tried. But ever since you got here, you've been a cancer to me. You've been a cancer to my friends. And you've been a cancer to this team. And just one more thing I want to say is clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. Almost messed up the quote there because the first Craig Finn solo album, lead singer of the Hold Steady, the first solo album that he released, the title was Clear Heart, Full Eyes.
Really?
Yeah, as like apparently he's a big Friday Night Lights fan.
Okay.
And he did that as like an homage to them, but switched the words around. So sometimes I think
you get a mix of
yeah.
Nice. All right. Yeah, I mean I'm fine. I think I'm fine with giving it to Buddy if that's your pick. Buddy doesn't often get the quotes either. No. So I feel like this is a feel good awards session right now. Yeah. We're just giving Julie positives and telling Buddy that he's not a sleazeball and giving him quote of the episode. So it's a redemptive story. I like it.
Yeah.
MVP of the episode. I think Buddy is a
contender.
Yeah.
I was going to get even more controversial, arguably, with it and say Julie Taylor.
Yeah. I mean, I'll definitely entertain the nomination for sure.
She inspired more conversation than between us than anybody else in this episode. So my choice is going to be for Julie Taylor. My nomination would be for her.
All right. Yeah. So Julie, taking hold of her faith and asking good questions. We love to see that. Buddy standing up for what he believes in and having maybe a shred of like morals and dignity, which we don't often see.
Yeah, don't see that a lot.
So, I think either one of those is a good choice. Let's go with Julie. I feel like, again, Julie doesn't get many opportunities to be the MVP of the episode. Yeah. So
we gave it to Buddy for the season 3 finale. And I think in that episode said like, this will probably be his only chance. And I think this might be Julie's only chance. So.
Yeah. Yep. I like it. I'm fine with that. Okay, if we're going to put a numerical value on how good this episode was, what do you say?
I think I've fallen back on this the last couple of episodes, I think for the entirety of season 4, but I think I got to stick with a 7 here. Nothing mind-blowing. A couple of really special moments. I'd be willing to consider, I'd be willing to entertain an 8 because of the conversation it inspired.
Yeah.
For a minimal subplot, so really not that important. That honestly annoyed me just because it was basically the same scene 4 times. Right. So I feel safe going with the 7.
You will not get any pushback from me on that. I agree. It's a 7. It's good. It's fine. It's not great. I'm with you. So we're gonna go with a 7 on this one. All right, so that's going to leave us. We'll wrap up with the lesson of the episode, but before we do that, I want to give a little opportunity for some shout outs here. Any Twitter interactions or anything like that we've had this week that we want to make a note of?
Yeah, I've got a semi shout out, semi correction to be made. This one stems all the way back from 3 episodes ago in the season 3 finale. I made a statement about perfect parents, and I mentioned Kevin and Brenda Kuiper. Just want to go out of my way to say Donna and Kenny Kuipers
right. Yeah.
Should have been included. And while we're at it, Michelle Hubers and also Kirby and
Sandy
Ringling.
Yeah.
All great sets of parents.
Yes. So Anthony and I don't think we even talked about this.
No, we didn't.
We both separately, we knew that we would be there, but we went to a Willie Nelson concert recently, and I went with my mom. And Anthony, you've probably seen my mom like one other time in the last 15 years.
Yeah, I would say, well, I would say probably fewer than 5. More than 1, but fewer than 5.
Yeah. So it's very rare that you run into my mom. But my mom happened for the very first time, listened to the podcast as she was driving up to the concert, listened to the season finale of season 3 and kind of put you on blast a little bit.
Yeah. Deserved.
Put up the blasting zone sign. Donna's coming in hot. Had something to say about not getting mentioned as being good parents. So I'm glad you corrected that.
Yeah.
For sure. So shout out to Donna Kuipers on the podcast. Shout out to our guy Garrett. Crank Chop out there. He did pick up on the Mike Leach reference cameo.
Oh yeah,
in the last episode.
Spoke a little too soon though.
Spoke a little too soon, old Crank Chop. And let us know as he was watching the episode, and then caught it later when we came to the realization. So, but nice work on that. We did not catch that at all. No. Good for you. Continue. Hey, if you got something to say, if you got something to correct us on, call us out, put us on blast.
Which, happens.
It definitely happens. Go ahead and interact with us on Twitter. We love that. We'd love to talk with you and shout you out. So I think that's all we have for shout outs. So we gotta come up with a moral, a takeaway. What are we gonna take from this episode and apply to our lives?
Yeah, I'm gonna say to stick with the subplot that was just a throwaway, but that we focused on more than anything in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if you're raising children, not that I know anything about that, but I think if you're raising children, you got to realize that in religion and all things, they got to have their own journey. So if they're maybe wrestling with something, struggling with something along the moral lines, and you have already brought them up morally in your own mold, maybe give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe don't worry about them so much openly, because that will make them push back harder. And then you're going to end up with a bigger problem on your hands than you think you do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a lesson in there.
Yeah, good call. I definitely co-sign that. My lesson of the episode, my biggest takeaway is probably, every relationship is going to be different. Everybody's going to have different boundaries and sets of, guidelines for how they do things. But unless you are like super rich, I'm going to guess that it's probably a bad idea in your relationship to write a $3,000 check and not tell your spouse about that, and to straight up lie about it. So, get your own guidelines. Some couples are like, hey, if it's an expense over $70, we're going to talk about it. Other people, might be a little more fast and loose with that. A couple $100 here and there, we can figure it out. But I'm guessing for 99% of relationships, $3,000 is probably not a check you should write without consulting your spouse. So, thanks for that lesson, Eric Taylor. All right. Well, I think that's it for the episode then.
Yeah.
Shout out to our listeners in the West Indies. Shout out to our listeners in Laos. Shout out to our listeners wherever you are. We're glad that you're with us nearing the end. We love talking Friday Night Lights with you. We love hearing what you have to think. Again, at Reliving Lights on Twitter. Leave us a review and rating on iTunes, only if it's 5 stars.
Yes.
We received a
we
less
don't know
than
which
5
one
star.
of you one of you clowns gave us a 3-star rating on Apple Podcasts because you didn't leave a review. You just gave a star rating. So
the coward's way.
Yeah, probably you know us personally and you just have a beef with us. I don't know if it's somebody we went to high school with that's like mad at our success or whatever, but grow up.
You know what? The haters only make us work harder,
Yeah. I need to get one of those. I need to go to the Empire Mall and get an I Heart Haters hat to wear while we record.
5 stars only, please.
And if you give us less than that, please say something about it. Don't just anonymously leave that just to mess with our perfect score.
You scared,
up.
bro? You scared?
Yeah.
Somebody's scared. All right. That's enough antagonizing and confronting our listeners for this episode. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week for another episode of Reliving the Lights, a Friday Night Lights rewatch podcast.
Let's touch God this time, boys. Let's touch God.